Hello and welcome back. Making and overseeing various users and groups is an essential skill for any Linux administrator. Managing multiple accounts can be a difficult task. You may be required to give read, write, or execute privileges, or even some combination of all three, to certain files for some accounts, multiple accounts, or no accounts at all. In this video, we're going to look at a solution to our challenge involving file permissions, users, and groups. So we're going to log in as our root user, and let's open up the terminal. Inside, we're going to cd, we're going to change directories to the root etc directory. Now inside this directory is a file called password, which holds information about all of the user accounts on the system. See it right here, passwd. Let's display the contents of this file. I'll use less, because it's a long file. The first field of each line is a user account on the system. Some of these are accounts for services that are running, while others are accounts for specific users. So if we look through here, we see bin is an account. If I keep going through, I see Pulse is an account. This is a system that's running for my Pulse audio. I see SSHD is an account, and if we come down here we see some user accounts like Mike and Peter. These were accounts that we had made earlier in the video. Wonderful. Now let's use awk to only display a list of the user accounts. So if I cat password, we can see that the user account name is just the first field here for every line, and we're going to use a delimiter of a colon to just grab that. So if we cat password and pipe it to the awk command, we'll do awk tac f, and for our delimiter we'll put in a colon, and now we'll say print, the first field. And so now we have just a nice list of our user accounts that are on the system. Excellent. For our purposes in this video, we want to create 3 new user accounts: test1, test2, and test3. And so let's create these users. So we're going to say, using the add user command, we'll add user test1. For a password, nothing good there. I just use 1, 2, 3, 4. I don't mind telling you, right? Because I'm going to just delete these accounts afterwards, so that's fine. Passwords do not match. Try again. Wow, I can't type that in. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, there we go. Okay, perfect. Is that information correct? Yes, it is. Let's do it for add user test2. We'll give them the same bad password. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. We'll just keep these fields blank, and that is correct. And then we're going to add user test3, and we'll give them a password 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And we'll say that information is correct. Awesome. So I think we've added our 3 users. To verify that these 3 users have been created, let's display the contents of the password file again. Cat password. And it looks like right here we've got test1, test2, and test3. So that is really nice here. Let's use awk to only grab the user's name, and this time let's redirect the output into a text file that we're going to store onto the root user's desktop. That way we have this information saved. So we're going to do awk tac f with a colon, and then we'll say print field 1. And we're going to use the redirection operator to send that output into the root directory of our system, and then the root folder, and then desktop / we'll call this file users, and I think that should work. So if I click enter now, and I check our desktop, we've got our text file right here on our desktop. Perfect. Now, inside the etc directory is another file called group, which holds information about all the groups that are on our system. So I clear the screen and I type ls. Password gave us information about the users. And so here is a file called group, which we can look at to look at the groups for the system. So let's look at that. We'll say cat group. And so we see different groups that are on the system and maybe some of the different members of the group. And if you look here, our 3 users that we just created, test 1, test 2, test 3, they all have their own individual groups. But for our purposes here, we want to create a new group. So we are going to create a new group called test group. And so to do that, I'm going to use the group add command, group add, and I'm going to say test group. All right, so now if I cat group, it looks like that group has been added to the list. But right now we can see there's no one in the group. So we have to add some users to this group. And so we want to add test 1 and test 2 to the group. We're going to leave our 3rd user account, test 3, off. So we're just adding test 1 and test 2. So to do this, I'm going to use the command usermod. We're going to use tac A to make sure that we append their group list, not overwrite. And then tac G to put the new group name. So the new group name is test group. And we got to put our username. So we're going to do this for user test 1, and we're going to do this for user test 2. Now if we cat the group file, we see that user test 1 and test 2 are a part of our group test group. So that was accomplished well. Why don't we take this command and let's redirect it into a text file that's going to be on the root user's desktop again. So we're going to redirect cat group, and we're going to put this in the root directory of our system, then the root folder, desktop, and we'll call this groups. So now I should have 2 files right here on my desktop with that information stored. Wonderful. Now we can move on. Let's change directories to go to the user test 1. Let's go to their desktop. So if I, not ls, let me clear. Right now I'm in the root etc directory, so I'm going to go up 1. My user accounts are going to be found in the home directory, so I'm going to cd home. And here are all of our users, so I'm going to cd to test 1. And so now we're in our directory here. So home test 1. Perfect. Let's change users to become the test 1 user. So I'm going to use su test 1. And so if I say who am I am test 1 now. Perfect. So I'm going to clear the screen. And let's create a file called file1 and populate it with some text. So nano file1. And I'm going to say, hello, how are you doing? We'll exit and save. Perfect. So if I look here, we've got our file1, and we can see its various permissions here. We want to set the permissions to read write for the owner, which it currently is, read for the group, which it is, but then all other users I don't want to give any permissions to. So in order to do this, I'm going to use the chmod command, and we're going to use a permission code here. Read write for the group, read write for the owner is 6, read for the group is 4, and nothing for anyone else is going to be a 0. And we're going to set that for file 1. So if I look now, we have read write, read, and then nothing else. We're going to make another file. We're going to call our next file file2, and we're going to again populate it with some text. So nano file2, and we're going to say this class is awesome. Hopefully I'm not putting words in your mouth, right? Hope you feel that way. Hope you're learning something, getting something out of the class. For file 2, we want to change its permissions to read write for the owner and group, and then read for all other users. So ls-tac-l will show us that we're not quite there yet. I want read write for the owner and for the group, and then read for all other permissions. So in order to do that, we'll use chmod again. I'm going to set this to read write for the owner is 6, read write for the group is 6, read for the owner is 4, and we'll change that for file 2. So let's just verify. Read write, and read. Perfect. Let's make one for nano file 3. We'll say here, we're going to say Sunday mornings are very relaxing. And that is true, right? Nice Sunday morning. Hopefully you guys are relaxing if you're up this early on a Sunday. Let's set the permissions for this file to read-write for all users. So we'll do chmod, read-write for all users is going to be 666, and file 3. All right, let's just check to make sure that that worked. Read-write, read-write, read-write. Perfect. And then lastly, we're going to create a file called file 4. So we'll say nano file 4, and we're going to populate it with some text, and we'll say this file is not for you. And we'll save and exit. And let's set this to read-write for the owner, and then give no one else permission. So nothing for the group, nothing for all other users. So we're going to say chmod 600 file 4. All right, so let's look at our files, and it looks like we have varying permissions here now. So that's really great. But now what we want to do is we want to alter who owns the file, the owner of the file, and the group of the file. Right, because everything right now is just test1, because that's us. We made the file as the test1 user. So what we're going to do is we're going to change back to the root user. So I'm just going to type exit. And so now, right, if I say who am I, I'm back to root. And so now what I want to do is for each of the created files, I'm going to change the group to the test group that we previously created. So in order to do that, I can use the chgrp, change group command. And let's just check the help documentation for this. I got to just make sure I'm doing it right. Change group, we put the group name and then the file that we want to change the ownership of. So group then file. All right, so let's see. Group then file. So we're going to do change group. The group is going to be test group, and the file is going to be file 1. So did that work? Looks like it did. It changed it to the test group. Perfect. So let's just run this command again for file 2, and I bet I can do this all in one line. File 2, file 3, and file 4. And all of our groups have been effectively changed. That's wonderful. For the last file, file 4, why don't we also change the owner? Let's change the owner of this file to our test user 3. Let's give him some ownership, or her some ownership, right? We kept that person out of our test group, so let's give him an actual file. So to change the owner of the file, I'll use chown, and then I'm going to put the new owner, test3, and we'll do this for file 4. So now if I look, the owner here has changed. It's become test3. So now I think we've got some interesting scenarios set up for our 3 test accounts on whether or not they can read or write these files. And so let's go take a look. So let's change to, let's do su, and we'll become test1. All right, so who am I? I am the user test1. Perfect. So I'm going to clear the screen here, and we'll do ls-tech-l, and looking at these permissions, let's see if we can read and write each of these files. So as test1, we are the owner of the file, so we should be able to, for file 1, we should be able to read and write. So if I look, if I do nano file 1, I can read it, and I can say, and write to it. All right, so if I cat file 1, read and write, perfect. I should be able to do the same thing for file 2. This is awesome. Yes, it is. Save, and I should be able to cat file 2, read and write, perfect. For file 3, I should be able to read and write. So nano file 3. Sunday mornings are relaxing. You must have coffee. That deserves like 18 exclamation points. Yeah, it does. And so if I cat file 3, perfect, we can read and write. For file 4, nano file 4, it says error reading file 4, permission denied. And so we finally got shot down here for file 4. And the reason why is because we changed the owner of the file to test user 3. And it's only the owner that has read-write permissions. Sure, we're in the group that owns it, but they have no permissions here and no permissions here, so we can't do it. So it looks like file 4 is blocked out for test user 1. Let's switch users to, let me exit, go back to the root user and let me do su test2. Let's go to become test2, and so I'll say who am I? We're now the test2 user. So I'm going to clear the screen. Let's long list our files, and let's run through a similar example. So for file 1, we're now test2. We're not the owner of the file anymore, but we are in the test group, so we should be able to read this file. So if I do nano file 1, I should have, I'm able to open it. Perfect, but it tells us down here that it is unwritable, so I can't make any saves or any changes. Perfect. For file 2, I'm not the owner, but I am in the test group. So if I look at the group permissions here, I should be able to read and write to file 2. So I can read it, I can open it, and we can say this class is awesome. Yes, it is. I love learning about Linux. And we'll make those saves, make those changes, save it. And so if I cat file 2, we were able to write to that file. Perfect. For file 3, we're in the test group still, so it looks like we have read-write privileges. So nano file 3, let's just verify. I hate Mondays. Who doesn't, right? Cat file 3. That worked. And then lastly, for file 4, you're probably already there. Nano file 4, we're blocked out. Permission is denied because the only person that has ownership or has permissions for that is the owner who are read-write. So looks like user 2, we are all set. So I'm going to exit out. And then let's su into our test user 3 here. Who am I? I am test 3. That worked. So let's clear the screen. We'll do ls tech l, and let's walk through this one quick. For file 1, we're in the all users group. We have no privileges. So nano file 1, we're blocked out. Permission denied. Can't even read, can't write. For file 2, we're in the all users now, right? We're not part of the test group. I have just the read permission. So nano file 2, I can open it, I can look at it, but it tells me here that it is unwritable. For file 3, nano file 3, here I think I can finally do something, right? Because I have read-write privileges for all other accounts. I hate Mondays. Yes, but Tuesdays are so great. Maybe you love Tuesdays. I don't know. Does anybody love Tuesdays? They got some redeeming qualities, right? So if we cat file 3, here it says, yes, but Tuesdays are so great. And then finally, if we go to nano file 4, we are the owner of file 4 here. So we should be able to read and write to this file. And it says this file is not for you. It is only for test 3. We check, and we have, cat file 4. And we have effectively written to that file. Wonderful. I think this is a great little exercise in looking at how we create users, groups, add to the groups, and then change permissions so that we can either give access to or restrict access to specific files. Right now, before we end, let's clean up and let's remove all of our files. So let's see, ls, I have 4 files in this directory right now. I can remove them all by typing remove, and then I'll do file with a wildcard. That wildcard will go through and take any character, so 1, 2, 3, and 4, and remove them. Yes. Permission denied. Permission denied. Oh, I have to, let me exit. There we go. I have to exit out of here and go back to being my root user. And so now I'll do remove file with a wildcard. Okay. And so they're all gone. Let's now cd to my home directory as the root user. ls. Let's go to my desktop. See, here are our files that were the groups and the users. I'm going to remove those. Okay, so they're gone, right? If we check, they shouldn't be on our desktop. They're not. And now I want to remove the test group. We still have the test group, right? So let's go back to the cd etc file. Let's cat groups. And so we see our test group is still here. We want to remove that. So to remove the group, I'll do group delete. And then I'll put my group name, so test group. All right, so that should work. So if I cat group again, The group is gone. Wonderful. So we've cleaned that up. And the last thing we want to do is just remove our users. So if I cat the password file, we see that we still have test1, test2, and test3, those 3 user accounts. We want to get rid of them. So to get rid of these accounts, we'll use the command user delete. And then the TACR, let's actually look at the help documentation here. TACR, the TACR command says remove the home directory and mail spool. Let's just take the precaution to add the TACR flag here. So we'll say user delete TACR and then the login name. So we'll do test1. All right, user delete TACR. And I bet I can do test2 and test3 all on the same line. Maybe I can't. So let's see, did that not work? Let's cat the password file. And it looks like it didn't. So maybe I gotta do this all on one line or on separate. User delete TACR test2. All right, and user delete TACR test3. So now if we look at our password file, those users should be gone, and they are. And if we go back to our root directory and then cd to home, if I look in here, test1, test2, and test3 no longer appear either. So I think we've effectively cleaned everything up. We had a great time messing around with the system, and then we cleaned up our mess. I think this is a great place to stop. I hope this video helped you get an understanding about users, groups, and file permissions, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video.